Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and welcome to a very exciting day. We are doing a preview review, which, if this is your first time joining me, basically whenever Games Workshop does these big preview events, where they show off a whole bunch of stuff, that day or the day after, I will do a live show like this, just kind of giving my thoughts and stuff. If the birds are annoying, let me know. I can close my window, but the breeze feels nice. And yesterday, as the big, what do they call it? What was the name of the event? Faith and Damnation. As that event was going down, I was actually out having a wonderful date day with my wife. That's the wrong one. Close this, my God. The birds are driving me nuts. So anyway, I was out there with that, having a wonderful time. So, but I have been so excited to talk about what we have today, and just kind of high-level thoughts up front. This is actually not what I expected at all, because the initial preview, when they were like, hey everybody, in 2 weeks this is going to go down, it looked very much like it was all 40k stuff, and like maybe, we could see the silhouettes, like, okay, there's the Ossiarch Bone Reaper Archer silhouette, but beyond that, not a whole lot of information. I thought it was definitely going to be more about like new Sisters of Battle things and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't have a whole lot of expectation. That's why I was like, oh yeah, we'll go hang out today. I don't really care about the reveal show. And then as I was sitting in the car, waiting for Jess to come out, I had my phone. I was watching the actual stream live. And of course, they dropped a whole bunch of stuff that I would love to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here we are at the screen here. Faith and Doug Nation, exactly. Let me just move the chat to a better place where I can see it on my end here. There we go, makes it a little easier. Now, here's what I'm thinking. When I do these kinds of review things, I'm going to go through the entire article, and then we're going to go back and pick out each subject one by one. That is the idea, okay? So we have Warhammer Preview Online, Faith and Damnation. Some incredible news from Sigmar, 40k, Necromunda, and Underworlds. Here's the actual video. Thank God it's muted. I didn't mean to blow anyone's eardrums out. Of course, we have the Soulblight Gravelords. Again, I'm not going to play it because I don't want to hurt anyone's ears. Actually, speaking of hurting your ears, let's get some music playing. So the Soulblight Gravelords, first of all, talk about like the worst kept secret in all of history, because we knew they were coming, and they just, I feel like no reason, they just didn't fully announce them before, and I could not understand why. Here we go. Let me know if the music gets a little bit too loud later on, but anyway, so we know that they're coming. Obviously, we've seen the Giant Death Knight. We'll scroll down here. Like I said, we're going to come back and really focus on the models here in a little bit. But for right now, we'll just move right on here smoothly past it. So we've got new Blood Knights. The best that I can hope for is that they're not $100 for 5. They look incredible. Absolutely incredible. And we have new Skellies. And when we were reviewing the Cursed City stuff, people were asking, like, how come you guys are examining these so hard? And the idea at the time that I shared was, well, when Disciples of Tzeentch, the first edition of it, came out, we actually saw a preview of those models in the Silver Tower set. And so it really was our first acting glimpse of the new faction. And so, this is the exact same thing. And these guys, it's a totally separate unit. They fit right in. I absolutely love it. Definitely what I was looking for in skeleton models. Man, why does everything sound like a freaking siren on this thing? Today, I don't know why the playlist is just really messing with me. Okay. Absolutely love them. See, my thing is I like the heavy armor on them. Like where it's not just mostly bone, like the current skeleton sculpts are. I wouldn't mind them like mixed in together, but truth be told, I really do actually like these quite a bit. So yeah, we'll keep on going because that's not my favorite part. It is these guys. Now, y'all, if you have watched all of these, you will know that I made a promise that if they made new zombies, I would be in like Flynn. And I am. I am very much in. I love these Deadwalker sculpts. I love the axe in his head. That's generally how I feel when I wake up. The models look sinister and dynamic. They all look like they're in motion. Again, we're going to come back and really focus on these, but one thing that this one tells me here is that the other units from Silver Tower are meant to be a part of this. Like you can swap models out, which I think is great. That's kind of the thing that I was hoping for. But yeah. This one's great with the shackled arms. So they're like stuck out. Oh, that's so torturous to do to somebody. So, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, we'll come back around. And then we also have some new fell bats, which is not something I was expecting, but I absolutely am here for it. And we'll keep going. And there is the cover art, which is a phenomenal callback to some of the original Vampire Counts art. Just that imposing hero, blood red armor, looking like a beast. So stinking cool. Let's see. I'm trying to look. I don't see anything. I mean, that could just be a Blood Knight on a zombie dragon. There looks to be a direwolf next to them. Hopefully we get a new direwolf kit. But yeah. Let's see. Then we have this video, which tells us absolutely nothing. And it's basically introducing the next Broken Realms book. Now, understand, we are now, what? This is number 3 that we have previews of. And they, yeah, I don't know. This one, this is one of those things that, quite frankly, I don't really care for from GW, where it's like, just show you that something exists, but nothing really to chew on with it. But Broken Realms Kragnos is going to be the next one after Be'lakor, after Teclis. So, dang. My thoughts, I have somebody who apparently knows somebody who is like, oh yeah, it's a destruction faction, and they're just very emphatic about that. Quite frankly, I don't care. I don't do speculations, but I'm a little bit interested as to why they're previewing so far out when there's nothing to share. Like even the Be'lakor one, they had a new Be'lakor model to get excited about. Like, okay, I'm on board. You gave me a concept, Broken Realms Be'lakor, and then something to chew on, which was the Be'lakor model looking incredible. This is not even that. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. However, when they did talk about Broken Realms, it's not Catacross, what's the name? Kragnos, there we go. When they did talk about this, they did say that next week, Broken Realms Teclis goes up for pre-order. So I am hoping to get my hands on a copy and do another lore week, because man, Broken Realms Morathi was so much freaking fun, and people went nuts in the comments about it. It was just a phenomenal piece of fiction. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I just want more. Gimme. That's about it. Yeah. Let's see. Here we've got Warhammer Underworlds. The Tithe is Due. That's our next one. And it introduces, I'm just going to skip down here to the thing. This is the new warband entering the fray. There are, I believe, 6 models. Right? There's an end slide here that has them all listed out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so you have one Uber leader. You have one, whatever the Mortrek guard leader is, the Heckin Tight or whatever he is. I can just call him the Heckin guy. And then you have a small warband behind him. Most notably that people are talking about is the idea of having a Ossiarch Bone Reapers archer unit, because people are already very doom and gloom about this faction, and the idea of them having more ranged support gets people all in a tizzy. Personally, I don't really care. Everyone should have cavalry and archery, I'm just saying, or some iteration based on their faction they're in, is my opinion. So, whatever. Hekatos, that's what he is. Yeah. So here is presumably our leader. I'm not sure if this warband will have like recursion, where he can bring dead models back, because Isn't that kind of the job of the Bone Shaper or something like that? That's my understanding of the Ossiarchs. But, you know, he might be like a tank guardian guy, which would still be rad. And then we have some wonderful sculpts that mix in. Yeah, I mean, and especially for these guys who have a very Greek phalanx aesthetic, they should absolutely... There's no reason they don't have archers right now. They have artillery. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Now, is it going to be a good unit and or balanced? That's somebody else's thought. But I'm not going to, like, wet the bed worrying about what the Ossiarch Bone Reapers are getting that every other faction doesn't have. Okay, then we have Necromunda, the House of Faith. Now, I'll be honest with you, my interest in Necromunda has waned a bit. It's still my favorite 40k setting, without question. I still enjoy the game because I like skirmish games more than full army ones anymore. But the thing is, like, there's just not many people who play it until, like, 3 weeks ago, I found a local group who, like, you know, they're just waiting for a particular store to reopen their play area. Iowa's, like, in the middle of unlocking everything. And so they're going to start up a campaign once that happens. So I am back on board. I'm really going to focus on my Goliaths. But, yeah. Let's see. And this is just some of the new items they got. So every gang is getting their own book with a separate unit. Now, my understanding of the old Necromunda, because I did not play back in its heyday, was that the Redemptionists were a separate thing, but in this they've kind of folded them into Cawdor, which is the House of Faith. And I just want to point out that this guy looks like the main character from Kingdom Hearts with that haircut. I don't know if I respect it, but I do like it. How about that? So yeah, I think it's really cool. We have this. I'm gonna say that looks like a supersized thing of McDonald's fries for a haircut. Oh, I love that face with the half mask. That's the winner. Winner, chicken dinner. And basically, he or she, it's a he, is running at you with a chainsaw with a flamethrower attached to it. I mean, that's just, take my money. I'm not even going to play this house, but I'm already like, yes. Anyway, so we'll keep going. They introduced a new product, which I don't understand. I'm going to be fully blunt with you. See, I've kind of made the discussion that, like, Necromunda is an interesting game, much like Warcry, where there are a lot of ways to get into it, but they kind of... I might turn up to Necromunda if they released a Kingdom Hearts army. Yeah. My thought was just, they keep putting out new ways to get into it, so this new box that's coming out is a very small version of Necromunda, but you're using three-dimensional terrain, it gives you some cool walls to add on to. The thing is, they just need, like, a full reset for the product line. Just, like, show us what the path to buying things is, because it used to be you buy a gang, you buy the you buy the Gangs of Necromunda book, the rule book, and you're set. Right, but that's not quite how it is anymore. Now they basically are churning it into somewhat of a half version of 40k, where you have, you know, your army's codex, which would be the House of Faith book. You need the core rule book. You need a massive truckload of terrain. And honestly, if games were, I would say, a bit bigger than this, honestly, for me, my sweet spot for Necromunda is on a 2x2. If they were like that, or even a 3x3, and you could have like a really good sized game with all kinds of weapons and stuff, I'd be really down for that. I think that would be really great. Goes to the chat, usual GW book over release, and that's honestly, it is a problem. It is a problem that they release too many books, because it oversaturates and asks too much from people who are already sold on the idea, and makes it very muddy for new folks who want to jump in. I think it's just meant to be a cheaper version of Dark Uprising. Absolutely, it could do that. Honestly, it looks like a cheaper version of, what is it? Underhive or whatever? Because at least Dark Uprising came with three-dimensional terrain, like there were stairways to go up and that kind of stuff. This is like the old, when they first redid Necromunda, is it Underhive War or something like that? Underhive. It came out like this, sort of, a little bit small. Well, it wasn't smaller. It was like a game board size. Anyway, so it's just in a weird place, you know. I mean, honestly, if this is priced well and it's meant to be an entry product that stays on the shelf, it could be fantastic. But I can say that about a myriad of Games Workshop products that don't stay on the shelf and don't act as introduction parts. So, you know, do whatever. So we'll keep going here. And they introduced a new leader for the Adeptus Mechanicus. Not sure about him. Like, he's a fantastic model. Like, honestly, I've said this multiple times. If and when I ever get into a Cities of Sigmar army, I'm doing Greywater Fastness, and I am going hog wild with converting Adeptus Mechanicus stuff into Cities of Sigmar, because they have these fantastic, like, flintlock looking laser pistols. They still use, you know, melee weapons like the sword and that kind of stuff. You would just have to chop off all the iconography and put something else there, clip off a little servo skull, put a different head on him. But like, this would be an incredible kit. He looks regal. He's got the cool plated armor on him, a bionic leg. I don't know. But yeah, it's very interesting. So I like him quite a bit. And they announced their Codex, which is wonderful because that's a faction that a lot of people love, but they've kind of been in a weird place for quite a while. And then we have, I'm going to skip you the video. We have the Sisters of Battle Castigator, which is their version of a battle tank / mobile church, which is kind of rad. Absolutely love it. It's a stunning model. You know, honestly, it is probably the most recent reinvention of the Rhino that I can think of. The Rhino being that same chassis that the Predator, the tank, is built upon. So that's the most recent one that I can think of. I would not be sad if they retired the old Predator kit and just focused on Primaris tanks for Space Marines, and then gave what is ostensibly the Predator, this thing, over to the Adeptus Sororitas. So yeah. Is it Mishka? Please tell me, why is this a lore violation? Because the Sororitas has a bunch of stuff that the Space Marines have. Anyway, so we got a few weapon options. Very, very cool. And then we have Meet the Snaggas, which... let's see. I just think it looks all kind of samey. I agree with you. Totally. I will say this is definitely sexier than, like, in terms of the normal Predator versus the Chaos Predator versus this Predator. This one looks the most interesting with the cool billowing smokestacks instead of like the exhaust pipes and iconography, all that kind of stuff. Like, if all those things are actually etched into the model, I think it looks better, but it's still very much the same. It's a lunchbox with a gun on it. So here we have the latest unit, and this is for 40K. It sure looks like it would be amazing in Iron Jaws, I'm not gonna lie. In fact, if what is the Iron Jaws battalion? I can't think of it. Where you, is it the Gorefist? You take Gore Gruntas and you nominate one of them as a leader, and he gets extra wounds and that kind of stuff. Maybe I am thinking of the old Battle Tome. But I don't know. I'm just thinking like this would be a perfect, if you wanted to select one of your Gore Gruntas to be a special character, or if you're doing the Anvil of Apotheosis and you're making your own Iron Jaws hero. This is so cool. Like, specifically, I really do like it. Wouldn't be shocked if Feral Orcs were a dual kit for AOS. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either, to be honest with you. I mean, the weapons would need to change, but that's an easy swap. Their arms are out so far that it's just another hand option. But I would absolutely be down with that. Let's see. Okay, and that's it. So we're going to go back up to the top. That was just me getting the news out of the way. Let's really dive in here, okay? Oh, that's the video. I was like, what? As far as the Gravelords, let's take a look at this vid. I'm going to mute it. Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Okay. We have seen him, her. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Got the bats going on in the hair. I will say it looks better this time than when we first saw it because they added some highlights to the hair. But I love it. It's a great model. We have our Death Rattle Skeletons from the Graveyard of Misspelled Words. Deadwalker Zombies. I love that they kept the scythe, right? That was actually always my favorite of the zombie guys, was the guy who was toting a scythe. And Fell Bats. Now, I am not one of those folks who is like eyeing every single thing in the background. That's clearly a Garden of More kit, but I like the fact that they're already including, and they're making it very clear to us, hey, the vampires from Cursed City are a part of this. And that might seem like obvious, but the truth is, every time I do a video talking about Cursed City, somebody in the chat every single time has asked, would this be a good place to start a death army? And it's like, I do not know. I cannot confirm about the keywords and such, but this really does make me think, obviously, that they're part of that, and hopefully in a way that makes them very ingrained. So we have our White King on Skeleton Steed. I assume there's going to be a White King on foot, maybe not. Blood Knights, of course. We were all waiting on that. We're going to talk about that kid in a second. And yeah, here's some great panning shots of the models. I will say, I love their camera angle at this, where it's like that very white on black, very desaturated kind of look as they spin. They look very death and creepy. What a wonderful presentation of this army. Absolutely wonderful. Is the Rat Prince included in Cursed City? He was mentioned as one of the characters. I can't recall if he's going to be in one of the expansions or not, but he is, yes. He was actually first showed in a Cursed City preview. So yes, he will be there. The current White King on foot with the Tomb Blade still looks really good. That's true. I forgot there was already a model for that. Yes, I would keep that. I think he would look great next to the other guy, right? Oh, I guess they probably don't have his picture in this. But yeah, I think he would look wonderful next to that dude, for sure. And I like how they have the bat wings that match like the Grave Guard helmets. Some of those have that as well. So let's talk some Blood Knights here. First of all, I want them to be priced at $60. Because if they go 100 again, I think we're all going to collectively LOL. Was he? I thought he was the first Monday model reveal. Maybe he was. Am I totally wrong on that? I don't know. There's a lot of news at once. I could be very wrong. So we have the Blood Knights here, and I love the fact that their mounts are in very different poses. Like some are galloping, like different parts of a mid-gallop. They look very aggressive. I wonder if they're going to have weapon options that are not just lances. Like we see the leader of the unit has like a giant mace, which is just nasty. But I'm curious about the rest of them, like how much versatility and loadout options they'll actually have. Honestly, I'm somebody who, when I play a war game, I'm not looking to equip every troop from, the ground up with all these kinds of special weapons and stuff. I just give me a profile. If they're good at charges with the lances, that's cool. Okay, he was a preview, but the article that he was in talked mostly about Cursed City. I might have just gotten confused. I apologize. But that's great that he's a part of this army. And we know that, what we do know is that the Rat Prince guy, the vampire they showed in the video, does have a very specific story to Cursed City. So whether or not that he was part of that reveal or not, I don't know. But they did put a story forth that he was turned accidentally by Radjikar, the guy running the city. Anyway. Blood Knights. Okay. So we have this guy here. He's the leader with a big mace. I like it. Looking more at the armor. It's just these perfect sweeping rounded edges that come to a fine point. Perfect if you are new to painting and are an experienced painter, of course, because if you need to do line highlights, this is the best way to do it. It's just these nice lines that come to a nice even point, and then you can get really good at highlighting and kind of building up color and stuff, as opposed to like some, for example, like Space Marine models, it's kind of hard and kind of a pain to know where the highlights and stuff should go because they're so flat, We're talking about the skellies, the skeletons. I love again, we've talked about this before. I love the fact that they went for a more heavily armored version. I believe these are going to be on 25s just by the sheer size of the bases. I'm going to be that guy who's like, I wish that they were on 32s. I actually do. I wish that they were on 32s. I want 32 to be the standard. I want fewer dudes on the table. I want monsters to mean more. But hey, I'm just Doug, right? For me, if a grot, which is like a half human, is on a 25, then a human should be on a 32. A Stormcast is much bigger, so it should be on a 40, which they are. Oh wait, I got a few questions here. Let me just check this out here. Morty in 5-7. You think this was originally planned for Halloween and October release, only pushed back due to COVID? I have no idea. You know, they play everything so close to the chest, and then they just randomly throw stuff out that I don't know if they know what they were planning, to be perfectly honest with you. Sometimes I wonder. Honestly, these were probably... I mean, when they show these big faction previews like that, it's usually at conventions. So whatever convention lines up with that timeline the most is probably where they were going to show it. That's my thought. Question. Sorry, it's off topic. Do you use a paint shaker or ball bearings in your paint? Not really. No, but I know Army Painter. I have used them before, and Army Painter has a whole little box of ball bearings that worked really well for me. I should get a little paint shaker thing. I should do that. You bet they're on 28s? Why would they do away with 25 mil bases? I don't see any evidence of that. I mean, we only have a few 28 mils in Warcry, but yeah, oh, whatever. Honestly, I don't really care. I never cared about base size. Anyway. Then we have our zombie unit. I mentioned these a little bit before. Absolutely love it. I love the facial expressions. I love, you know, they really put an emphasis on trees growing out of them. And I'm kind of curious as to why, but you know, it is very cool nonetheless. This guy has a piece of paper on his back. I like it. A vortex mixer is a great investment. Okay, I'll check that out. Let's see. The sledgehammer on the super happy lady is just rad. Again, I love that they brought the scythe back. I love the shovel. I don't know. There's hard to pick a favorite. I know that. I'm torn. Part of me wishes they had different. Like these all look very much like peasants, of course, you know, which most zombies are. But I wish there was more stuff like this guy where he looks like he could have been a soldier, you know, where he's wearing the bits and bobs of a uniform. So, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to me. I do like the impaled guy. He is my favorite. Just the guy who's just like, and stay dead. And he's like, no, I don't want to. Let's see. Isn't there a big graveyard where the Sylvaneth embassy was? I could be from that battle area. Would explain the routes. That's true. That's a really good point. But see, that is Curse City specific, but now we're talking about a faction that's supposed to be everywhere. Okay, and then we have our Fellbats. And as far as these go, I'll be honest with you, like, I think they are technically very impressive models. Them as a unit, like just having giant bats be a unit, really was never my jam. But I will say I love the imposing look of this guy on the left, where he's just like leaning over this rock or whatever he's got, his tactical rock, and is just like leering at you. I do like that. I like the fact that they're all in different poses. They just do real good. Let's see. And then of course we talked about the book art. As eagle-eyed followers will have noticed, many of these units look like they'd fit in fine amongst the cursed inhabitants of Ulfenkarn. It's opening its gates very soon. How soon is it? Not soon enough. So anyway, I'm very excited. I'm curious, to be honest with you, how they're going to make the zombie rules interesting, right? Because I don't want them to be like, here's your cheap chaff base unit that just dies in droves. Like, if I'm going to pay money for an army of these guys, which I do intend to, I want them to like have a fun gimmick, like something that they are good at. And, you know, obviously being there to die and hold objectives is great, but I want stuff like, orcs in 40k, if there's 2 units that are depleted, they can merge into one uber unit. If there are certain buffs nearby, they can regen models faster than normal. If they attack the enemy, they have a chance of making more zombies. Like, I want them to be zombies other than just like, here's a human model with a bad profile. That's not what I want. I want them to be zombies. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thomas Robinson. Zombies will take well to contrast. I'm already looking at this. Let me tell you my plan here. Basically, doing very simple contrast paints, and then you just really focus on the washes, because there is a specific wash that I love, and I've loved it for all Nurgle stuff. And it's from Secret Weapon Miniatures. It's called Sewer Water, and it's exactly what it looks like, exactly what it sounds like, and it makes everything look gross and corroded and rotted, and it's just so good. 5 up, save, and regen when killing stuff would be a nice base. Yeah, for sure. Zombie War Scroll is already really interesting, I think. Just give them a sub-faction. I don't know. I mean, if anything, I do expect there to be a sub-faction that's kind of like the, what are they called? Is it the Morphon? The Idnith Iclev, where, you know, there's a battalion where the Soul Render can re-add units to Namardi nearby, but if you take that sub-faction, they just flat add 3 more. So it's like all the cool recursion, but then you just dump a whole bunch more on there. And so I imagine there's going to be something like that where it really emphasizes adding models to zombie units. But, yeah. So I would love that. As far as other things that I want from the book, you know, I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're done with pre-releases, or sorry, with releases for this. I don't think we've seen everything. I'd love it if we had either dire wolves or giant rats. I don't care. Some other large beast type animal that really fits in with the old classic vampire stuff aesthetic. And typically there is a centerpiece model. So who that could be and where that could be, we do not know. Could be a new dragon. That would be rad. This looks like a cooler dragon than the zombie dragon we have right now. If it's that guy, yes, please. Slide one over. Put him on a pie plate and slide him over. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's see. Sorry, I gotta get a coffee. But, yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested to know, like, I think they're gonna have sub-factions, and I'm glad they do. Probably all the different vampire lines, I would imagine, and I want them to be focused on very specific things. Like, I want a Blood Knight focused one. I want zombies. I want, I don't really know if I care about one that focuses on Fellbats, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I really, you know what I want from this book, to be perfectly honest? I want 2 things. Here's Doug's hot take. 1, everything in this book has to be better in this book than in Legions of Nagash. Okay? Because those war scrolls still exist, and I'm sure there's going to be an in-between period. I know there's a bunch of people saying, like, oh my god, they're going to replace Legions of Nagash with Soulblight Gravelords. I don't really care if they do. That would be fine with me. But as it stands, there's most likely going to be some level of crossover, because skeletons and zombies exist in that faction as well as Fellbats and Blood Knights and all this kinds of stuff. So I need everything to be better in Soulblight Gravelords than they are in Legions of Nagash. That's my first line in the sand. Now, as far as the second thing they need to do is, in my opinion, it needs to have a balance where I don't want one unit to be the obvious choice. And I think that's really the thing that's held me back with Legions of Nagash for so long, is skeletons are the best. They're just the best. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of how that faction plays and how it controls the board, they are the best. I don't want that. I want, you know, if you're gonna unleash a new skeleton kit and a new zombie kit all at once, I need them to both have reasonable options to where they can play together. And that's the thing that's always turned me off about Legions of Nagash, is like I have no fun playing against it. When I look at the book, I'm looking internally balanced. I'm like, okay, so I see why I'm having no fun, because all I ever do is play skeletons. You crack open the book and you're like, yep, skeletons are the best. I don't know. So that's my opinion. That's all I want. Again, everything has to be better in Soulblights than it is in any other place that it can share. And then internal balance of the book. So yeah. Will asks, is this my next army? No, my next army arrives Wednesday in the mails. Although I will say, I do intend to slowly collect Soulblight Gravelords until I have a collection enough to play at least a 1,000 point game. The reason is I do really truly love zombies. Like, I love horror films, I love vampires, I love all of it. So again, I'm probably gonna have a 1,000 point army at least, but I'm excited for just about anything. So yeah, let's see, let's move on here. Kragnos, again, I don't really care for these kinds of previews because they say nothing, give us nothing, and I find that most people just make wild suggestions and get really upset and vocal about it when they're wrong. That's just my opinion. I don't know what to tell you. And then the Bone Reapers, which honestly the models are great, but they don't grip me as an army. There's been a few times where I've kind of like hovered over the Ossiarch section of the Games Workshop page, being like, do I like these guys? I like the Greek phalanx aesthetic. I love their armor, like their little plated armor over the bone, but I just don't think I am in love with the faction enough. So yeah, more excited about the new Bone Reapers. They are great. I mean, man, they in a recent White Dwarf, they Mogwai man, talking about Bone Reapers, the lack of battle line options. I don't know. I guess when I'm looking at these things, I love using him as a totally different Heckin champion, Hecatos, I know it's called, and just having some alternate sculpts. This guy, in a recent White Dwarf, they made a Anvil of Apotheosis like addendum for more death factions, and the Bone Reapers were included in that. So he could be a fantastic, kit bash conversion, or just a fill-in for whatever Bone Reaper hero you want. I like him. Mordian 5/7. I was just gonna say the exact same thing. That leader guy looks like one hell of an end level boss. Yes, I was like, he looks like the final Karen that you fight your way up to as a manager at McDonald's. Like, just imposing, standing over you, towering. Let's see. Ossiarch Bone Reapers are strange when the game moves away from square bases and they release a rank and file army. Yeah, but that's kind of their jam. I mean, their whole jam is these perfect, tight military Greek phalanx formations and that kind of stuff. I mean, so much of their name and their verbiage is based upon that to give you that sense. So I understand your criticism, and I do agree with it. But also, I'm like, that's kind of the thing. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Looks real nasty. Real nasty. Lumineth Realm Lords is rank and file with the shining formations. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, and like a 4-inch long spear that's gonna break and get in the way whenever you're trying to play a game. I'm not salty, you're salty. I'm curious as to what this is supposed to be. So he's holding a piece of rock that looks magical in some fashion, but it's like melting in his hand. So I'm kind of, is there a material that I'm just like totally blanking on right now that could be? I mean, it could be like the Seraphon one where like the Slán gave him a Pokeball and said, go at it. Go fight the mountain. Here's your Pokeball. Which is about as much training as the 6-year-old got in actual Pokemon Red version. So I don't know. Magical hand grenade. That'd be rad. I'd be down for that. Black pyramid material. So yeah, it could be Shade Sand, but I'd imagine he would blow up, right? Because there's a story about a skeleton exploding from holding a single grain of it, but I don't know. It's his receipt for the manager. Yes. And then we have our dual-handed sword guy. I like him quite a bit. So anyway, those are my real thoughts. Like, honestly, the main things I wanted to focus on, vampires coming is just phenomenal. we all knew it was coming, but to have this much stuff dropped on our laps at once was just really, really cool. I'm very excited about it. I'm going to be picking some of this stuff up, but hey Doug, have you read the latest short story with Manfred? Not yet. I've been going in order, and I'm going to be catching up hopefully this week or next week. So yeah, because I'm reading them as I'm recording them for everybody else. The only thing that I wasn't I'm just curious about is Necromunda. And the reason I focus so much on Necromunda is because it's a popular skirmish game that has a dedicated following. And it's when I watch them do stuff with Necromunda, I wait for them to do it to Warcry, which is a game that I also love. Yeah, I don't know. It's so interesting. They just kind of keep putting weird stuff out there for it and kind of pivoting and trying new things. And I mean, part of me hopes that they're learning by keep making smaller and smaller sets like this. Like, hey, people would actually love to buy this game and get into it, but maybe all the crap you did surrounding it is just a bit too much, you know, and it is. But if there was something like this and there was an easier onboarding process for new players to get them excited, that would be really cool. I would really like to see that. So, there's templates. There's templates right here. And I will say, there is something about using templates, specifically with Necromunda, that is so freaking fun. Like, when you have a flamethrower that uses this teardrop template, it is so nice. I didn't jump into 40k version 9 for the same reasons. Exactly, yeah. Where it's just, there's so much. Oh, you meant, oh no, templates. Oh no, templates are rad in this game. They're rad in Necromunda and this kind of stuff because it's so much more contained than full-scale army games. It's really not a problem. Like, honestly, it's nowhere near the same thing as like the gun line of Imperial tanks that just put 16 templates down on the table and they all scatter and it's not like that. There's maybe one gun. There's certainly only one gun in the Escher kit that you can use the template one. She shoots like a poison gas at people, which is so fun. But yeah. No, and Mogwai Man, thank you, I trust you. No, and I go out of my way to say that because I had the exact same thought when I started playing. But then when it comes, the second you start actually building lists and have weapons and you see how expensive some of those weapons are to add on to your units, you're like, oh, so I'm not gonna it's not like 40k, we're gonna be using these all the time. You know, it just is what it is. So there's very few times. I guess grenades, if you really want grenade heavy, but very few people do. But yeah. So anyway, friends, I'm pretty much going to round it out there. That was the discussion I wanted to have, really just gushing out my thoughts about the Deadwalker zombies. And I don't really know what's going on with 40k right now. They've had just a cornucopia of releases lately, and I think people are ready to chill on that. But that's all right, because we're ready for some vampires and some AOS time in the sun. So I'm very excited about that. I'll open it up to kind of open questions here at the end while we're just kind of chilling. But let's see. Wolf, Doug, what's your opinion on the Star Wars Legion sculpts? I might paint up a few and was wondering if you think the sculpts for them versus Games Workshop quality-wise. No, don't worry about being off topic. They are decidedly of lesser quality in terms of sharpness of detail. That being said, I still had fun painting them. Like, I painted a Hoth army. And then now I've kind of been moving more into Marvel Crisis Protocol because it's the same company that makes them, and I've just been very interested in skirmish games lately. So on that note, I will say the Games Workshop, that's their jam. They make the best models. Okay, like obviously there's individual artists and indie stuff that can do very unique things that are of maybe sharper detail and stuff like that, but Games Workshop has its own aesthetic and it makes top shelf models. I would say for the Star Wars stuff, nostalgia covers a multitude of sins. And yeah, I don't know. It's good stuff. They're great. I had a fun time with them, but there are multiple times where I've been like, man, I wish the details were just a little bit sharper here so that a wash would work a little bit better, but it's whatever. Let's see. May I ask your opinion on getting the Legions of Nagash start collecting boxes for Soulblight? Is it worth taking a risk? Well, is it worth taking the risk? Well, you know that those skeleton sculpts are going to go away. So if you like the way that those look, and you wouldn't mind mixing them with some of the newer ones, or just, or just buying up older ones that are out there, that's fine. So kind of keep that in your mind. As far as because the main value point of that entire kit is the Mortarch set, which can be Manfred, Neferata, or Arcan. So I would probably say you're probably safe in the sense of like, I feel like at least Neferata is going to be in this book, if not Manfred both. I really think they're both going to be in there, but I don't know. I think it's fine. Like, honestly, this is why I don't tell people to purchase things, because if it comes out and like those models they're going to be usable, right? I don't know. Yeah, do whatever you want. That's my thought. The Mortarch kit is probably going to be in this book, but again, you know as much as I do, so I don't know. Honestly, if you're not worried about the, what is it, like 85, 100 bucks, whatever it is, just grab it. And, and if it's units that you just like, just grab it. I don't get it. Is Gravelords the next Legions of Nagash? Are they going to update Legions of Nagash? No idea. No idea. In my personal opinion, Legions of Nagash can go away, since now Nagash and Arcan exist in Ossiarch Bone Reapers. The line of models that they don't want can be cut away, and they can just focus on Soulblight and that kind of stuff. That would be my thought, and I would not be sad, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Because otherwise, it was always functionally Grand Alliance Death, the Battle Tome, until Nighthaunt came out. And that kind of changed things, right? Because, he could even take some stuff from Flesh Eater Courts and that kind of thing. So I feel like he, from the get-go, was Grand Alliance Death. And now that we have sort of the main players kind of in books and stuff, I would be totally fine if that book went away. But that's my opinion. I would hope the Mortarch kit would be in the new Soulblight tome. They're sick models. Yeah, well, they're also thematic, right? Manfred and Neferata are both Soulblight. So, whereas Arcan is a Lich, and he is different. And so he belongs with the Bone Reapers. I agree with that decision. But, yeah, anyway, friends, those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this little quick recap of what's going on in the world. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me, and I will catch you next time. Have yourselves a wonderful Sunday, and happy wargaming.